The question was, can I talk about the working edge of the tool? What part of the tool am I using? So I'm just going to throw a scrap piece on here while we're waiting for a sphere blank, and I'll do the best I can to finish a sphere, a scoop, and the rockabye box. Rockabye box takes about an hour and a half if I'm pushing it. The scoop, probably looking at about an hour. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, I see the bugs. Well, what are these little stripes in here? Spalting. Yeah, is your blanch all plugged up? I'll just straighten it up a little bit. Sure. Is that running? Okay. All right. Thank you. That'll work. That'll work. Now, he gave me a piece of spalted wood. And the reason for that was it's a setup. And the setup is it's going to be heavier in parts of this than the other because of all the dotiness in the piece. So we're still going to see if we can get it to roll in a straight line. Okay, real quick on some tool technique.
Really helped me. He said you should be cutting at like at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, and that made perfect sense. Are there rules for turning it at an angle?
Is that AM? Is that AM or PM?
Well, for me. Are there rules like that?
We had Jerry and I had a conversation last night. In all seriousness. And there are so many different ways of getting to the same end. What I use may be a little different than what you use or what Peter uses. Does it mean I'm right and he's wrong or you're wrong? No. It means you are just going about it in a different way. Now, I talked about times on the clock when I hollowed out, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30, never 9 o'clock. That's important. Okay. As far as what, correct me if I'm wrong, he's talking to you about doing a and entering, and you're coming over to 4 o'clock, is it?
I don't know, I was just off. And then when he said do it at this...
To show it not to put the flat of the flute into the wood.
Aha.
Say you cut on 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay, well that was very helpful. So those kind of tips are what I...
Yes. Okay, now I understand what's going on here. So here is, let's say 12 o'clock. Okay, and I can put that in there, and I can guarantee you I can get a chip out of that. Matter of fact, let's see if we can do that. We want to make sure it's on the highest speed so it goes as far as it can after it's leaving the lathe. I see you. Now notice that I'm not jabbing the tool in there. Here I am going straight in. Look at my handle, straight up. It's working, isn't it? But I have no control. I'm just controlling making a light cut there, going through. And it made the cut, and it's basically, I'm using a tool like a scraper. Now what, the 1 o'clock, if I'm going to the right, here I am at 1 o'clock, going in. Notice my handle down. I'm going to lay that bevel on there. I'm going to lift till it starts cutting. And stop. 4 o'clock, bevel, lift the cut, follow through. Now I'm not sure if you're noticing, but watch this full cut. I lift, I roll, I bring my body around, handle ends up level with the lathe bed, no catch. Same thing over here, 4 o'clock, come around, handle is level with no catch. Now, if I only did half of that, let's say I came around here and I came around to 1 o'clock and I didn't lift my handle, what's going to happen? Can you see that on the screen? That's going to catch the other side. And all of my cuts, when I finish my cut, the tip of my point, the center of my tool, is in line with the center axis of the lathe. So if my tool rest is too high, when I finish my cut, my handle's up here. If my tool rest is too low and I'm trying to finish that cut, my handle is down here. And I want to have a catch. I don't like catches. I'd like to catch a ball. That's about it. I don't want to be rejected by the piece of wood. So there's a rule of thumb for me, if I lay my tool on the tool rest, parallel with the lathe bed, okay, the center cut, the top, is going to be on the center axis. If I'm using a skew, depending on what size skew you have, I lay my tool like this, parallel with the lathe bed. I want my center of my skew to be on the center axis. And I can finish my cut, so I can make that same cut with a skew as I did with a spindle gouge. Same with a roughing gouge. I lay that on there, and that cutting edge, this tool rest is a little low now for that. I would raise it just a little bit. And right there, it just makes it so much easier. I know when I teach a lot of classes and workshops, that's one of the problems the students have a lot, is they don't know where to set their tool rest. And they can't finish their cut, or it throws the tool back at them, or the wood goes across the shop. So I think we killed two birds with one stone, and that with the 1, 4, and that was good. I never really thought about the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock thing, but that's absolutely correct. And finishing it up dead center. So that being said, I'm not even going to charge you for this piece. He's been asking all day long.
Where are you going to sign it?
Huh?
Are you going to sign it?
Yeah, let me have that piece back.
You'll sign it.
Oops. Demo piece.
Demo piece.
Okay, let me, you want to do the sphere first and get it out of the way? Let me just clean this up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to find approximate center on this. I just dyed it up, it's probably not square. It's a little checked up there. And there's no corner there.
That'll make it easy for you.
Okay. I know I just used it in my punch. Anybody see what I did with my punch?
I think it's
Thank you. Okay. First thing I want to do is I'm going to turn this into a cylinder. You wanted it round, right? Okay. Okay. Before you turn the lathe on, make sure that it clears the tool rest. No, not even close. I had a guy at one of the demonstrations that I was at last week asked me, "Do you do all those safety things that you're doing during a demonstration at home?" I said, "Absolutely. That's why I'm still here. That's why I still have my same 5 fingers. Safety first on everything. Double check stuff. If you're not sure, don't do it. This is supposed to be fun." I just switched rough gouges. You can hear that it's either getting as round or getting there. Still got a flat on it. Okay, so we've got rid of almost all the flats. Got a little one there. So let's make one more cut across. Alright, so we've got 4 3/4. What's half of 4 3/4? Would that be 2 3 of those black lines? Oh, look at that. I already got a black line on there. What I did is I just measured the center of this block of wood. Now I need to find out what diameter we have here. And we are at 3 1/8. So I'm going to measure over 1, 3 1/8, 1 1/2. Too many black lines on this piece of plastic. So if I did my math correctly, the length that I'm marking on the cylinder should be the same as the diameter that I have on this block. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of waste on both the left and the right. So I'm going to go from that pencil line out on either side and turn that down. There's my bevel and my cut. You'll notice I don't talk much while making that cut. Okay, now the length is pretty darn close to the diameter that we turned. So now all we have to do is take away a little, whatever doesn't look like a ball. Okay. Let's see here. Fortunately, I brought this little kit with me to help us out. I've made a little ring out of corian, and this will help as I make my cuts to make sure that I'm spherical as I go around, both left and right on here. So I know I've got a lot of waste on here. So I'm just going to whack off what I know I don't need. So I try to do a mirror image, both left and right. And once I get rid of that, now I can start forming the sphere. I'm going to go to the right first. And another reason why I did these tendons, at the bottom, if I look through at the very bottom of that tendon, that's where the end of the sphere is. So I'm kind of aiming towards that. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
The same process you use for the egg, except you move the line over, it's not the center.
I've never done an egg with lines, so I'm not sure.
So on the ball, you chose the center line, but
Yeah.
for the egg, you've got one that's got one shape to the other shape.
Right.
That line over.
Yeah. I was going to do an egg for you all today, but I'm not. Spheres and eggs are just really great skill building tools as far as going after something. I hate to say it, when I started doing spheres, they turned out looking like eggs. When I started trying to do eggs, they looked like spheres. I finally got that straightened out. The one thing with the egg, and I know it's past Easter time, you can have a lot of fun learning these and being able to get them every time you go to do it. Then you can decorate the heck out of the things with carving, pyrography, colors, whatever. They're a nice palette for a lot of things. Plus you're learning the skill. When I'm teaching, I like to get people to be thinking in your head, what shape do you want, and know what tool to use and how to go after and get that shape without doing it by accident. Just do it on purpose. Right now we're doing this on purpose, making a sphere. And I can tell I'm still flat here. I haven't gone up here yet, but it's starting to shape up some. The method I'm going to use to make this sphere is the 3-axis method. This is axis 1 that I'm turning right now. I'm going to sneak up to that line. And I'm looking over top of my piece, looking at the shape that I'm creating. So we're getting closer. What I do with this ring is I lay it on here, and if I can see light, daylight through that ring, I know I'm not spherical yet. And we are getting very close just by eyeing it up. I'm a little heavy here and here by about a 32nd, not much. So I'm just going to do some really light cuts on this. Now it's important here at this point that I have it nice and spherical. Everything running true. What I'm doing is just a very light shear cut. Like I said earlier, as long as you get it perfect, you'll be all right. That's pretty good. Now I have got from here to here, spherical. With putting that ring on, I can't see any light through there. That's what I want. It's important I get that correct, because the way I cut the other 2 axes is I make taper, number 2, and cup chucks. So that's going to have to sit right there. It's going to be in the headstock. So I want to make sure I've got that part perfectly spherical. If I don't, it's going to rock in there. Okay, so that one looks pretty good. That one looks pretty good. Now I don't do any sanding at all at this point. I'm still a little heavy on this side. Take one more shear cut. I don't have to worry about too much on the ends just yet. I'll get to that in the 2nd axis. Peter, does that look good from where you're sitting? Did Peter leave?
He's safe.
I know he's over there. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to stop there. So that's axis number 1. And I heard her ask you, is this how you do it? Okay. So somewhere between here and the finish, and it gets out around. Yes and no. I'll use that little ring up to even 4 and 5 inch diameter spheres, or down to 2 inch. It's a 1 inch diameter on the inside cut, and what I'm doing is making sure that one spot there is spherical. Some people make spheres using cutters, ring cutters, and I do. This is how I make spheres. Yeah, I'm looking at where it touches right here, all the way around. And if I don't, If I don't see any light through there at all, I know that area is spherical. And that way my cup chuck is going to seat nicely on there. So let's see here. I want to make sure that that cup is running true. Before I put the sphere on it. So every time I do a sphere, I'll just take off a little bit and make sure that it's running absolutely perfect. That should be good. I just make those.
Well, I don't know if that's not, that was a film question.
No, it's not.
I mean, you, of course, would make them, but most people make them.
No, it's good. That part's a good question. Yeah, I don't have time to make a number 2 taper now, but you're going to have to use some type of cup chuck, and I do think they sell cup chucks that they got like little neoprene or some type of plastic on them, I think. Chucky, yeah, that guy. Okay, now remember, that was axis 1 right here. It's going to be axis 2. So I got a little cup chuck for the tailstock. Okay, make sure that you're seated in your cup and your first axis line is now in between the 2 points. Make sure it doesn't hit your tool wrist. Lock it in. Grab your hand wheel. What's the matter?
It just gave chills.
Oh, yeah. When it happens, I tell the student he better sharpen the tool rest more. Use it like a skew. Okay, so I'm going to turn the speed down for this. Now you can actually see the sphere in there. So now we just got to get rid of everything that's not the sphere. Okay, I'm looking over top and I'm seeing a little shadow, and I call that a ghost. I just want to get down and get rid of that little ghost there. We can stop and you can see the progress. Okay. What I'm looking at here, this is where my cut has ended. Okay, I want to sneak up to this first axis line. Okay, on both sides, and we're really pretty darn close. But I want to try not to come past that line. I want to keep the line there. Once I start getting close, I'll lay my spindle gouge over And I'll start some shearing cuts. Again, I'm not taking off a whole lot of material. We're already close. And I'll stop again here in a second and I'll check that line. Okay, I'm about just a ½ inch away from that line right there in the center. Just sneak up on it. It helps when you have somebody in the room tell you to stop. So whoever would like to volunteer for me for that, that'd be appreciated. Who was that? Okay, now I'm putting another line on, right on the center. And now I have crosshairs. So we're done axis 1. We're done axis 2. Now axis 3. We're going to rotate this. No. Line up your crosshairs and your cup centers. Am I doing okay?
I was complimenting him.
Oh, yeah, I heard you. I wanted to make sure I was doing.
Well, I'm impressed. This is really impressive.
Now, the hard part of what he said was to have it roll in a straight line. That's the hard part. Okay, when I'm compressing this, I'm holding the hand wheel so that this sphere doesn't spin in between the centers. On the third axis, it does not take much. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go past it. Then you have to make a smaller sphere, and it's hard to get back to the spherical shape. It's looking pretty good. I think we're ready for sanding on that. And I'll sand all 3 axes. Like this wood is soft and hard at the same time in different spots. So I have a little bit of marking up there from the cup chuck. If I'm doing an actual finished sphere, what I'll do is I'll put little rubber inner tube pieces in between, and that'll compress it and eliminate those rings. But for what we're doing, I think we're all right. So no matter what axis you put it on, it should be running true. I want you to pretend I've gone all the way through to 600 on this as far as grit goes. Anybody see where that went? Underneath this. Oh, thank you. So that's how I do a sphere on the 3-axis, and I can pretty much guarantee that it's going to roll in a straight line. You don't need to see it, do you? You trust me?
Except the floor.
There's no questions.
Use your white ring there as a brush after the first axis.
I didn't need to. No matter where I put. No, because I got that first part right there where I was going to put in between the chucks, which are already cup chucks. So I know if I put it back in here and did that and came up to that line on that second axis, I know it had to be spherical. And same with the third axis. So I only use this on just gaining that first axis, and works very well. That will need some sanding, and it is a little tough on a floor like this to roll on a straight line. Do you all want to go out to Main Street out here? And we'll just roll it down that yellow line.
There's a bowling alley.
I should have made a bigger one.
Don't worry, that one up there, they go like this anyway. You sign that for Jerry, please.
I got writer's cramp. That's how you do a sphere. No, that's it. I'm already in the overtime here. Yes, sir.
But you know, cut those, you had ears on, put it in the other way. But you have not cut those off with the bandsaw.
I'd be careful on a bandsaw because they would want to blade grab. Yeah, I mean you could, or you can just use a handsaw and cut them off, or yeah, but they turned off pretty quick too.
It gets a little exciting when you got these two ears flopping around there.
I like excitement.
You got it.
But yes, you can cut them off and not turn it, or you can turn it whatever you like. Okay. Okay, so you still want a scoop, right? Let me get started on the scoop. That's it, quarter of 2. Okay, on the scoop, I've got a 2-inch block of wood. and it's that long. I say 4.5 inches. Five inches. Close. Now, on both ends, I've marked center, just going from corner to corner on this. Both sides. And on one side, I'm going to end up moving over 3/16 of an inch off center to get that off center handle. But I'm going to wait on that so that I can do it with the correct grain orientation. So right now, I'm just going to go between centers, and we're going to turn it into a cylinder. Then we're going to turn a sphere on one end and rough in a handle. Is Brian coming at all, or is he? No. So, this is all his fault. This is what he wrote down. You tell him I was asking about him. Okay, so between centers, rough it into a cylinder. Okay, rough and gouge, ABCs. Okay. I want to have waste on both ends. And I'm looking around now. So I'm going to have roughly a 2-inch sphere on here. So I'm going to mark 1 inch and 2 inch from my waist cutoff here. And that's going to be our scoop. Just going to cut away the waste here. Same as I did when I made that sphere. Now I'm going to eye up the sphere, same as I did on the larger one. Knock off the waste. Again, I'm looking over top of my piece. This is the part we want pretty close to dead on. I'm going to start roughing in the handle, and then we'll make some final cuts on our sphere.
So did Brian ask you to make it a precisely 2-tablespoon measure?
No. Is that what you want?
I decided you might be, wanting to have the perfect measure for the making fun.
I made one of these for our house. I made it out of Coca-Cola, a really nice one. I'm trying to remember what I did for size-wise. I think it was 2 scoops made, I think 12 cups of coffee. Just right the way we like it. Basically, I'm just making a cove for the handle. I'm just eyeing up the shape. And I'm going to clean up the position between the handle and the sphere. This one is not going to roll in a straight line. If this is not perfectly spherical, It will still work. Just gets a little iffy on the jam chuck that we're going to use to hold this to turn out the inside. So I do want to get it as close as I can. That's pretty close. So since we're finished at 4 o'clock today or thereabouts, is to make a coffee scoop tonight. Now it's going to take me about 3.5 hours unless I run into traffic to get home for you guys to make it and email me a picture of it. I was actually very pleased that I remembered the capsule, and that's the first time I made one when Brian sent that message and went to the shop Monday before I left for Philly. And it's good. Handles okay. Now I need to throw it off center so that I can play around with the handle a little bit. So I'm going to look at the grain orientation, such as, I want to have that as the bottom, and I roll it over. That is where I'm going to scoop out. So it's going to be on the center of that where I scoop. So I need to come over and transfer that line somewhere in there. Should be where I'm marking. Can you see what I did there? Lining up the grain. Does that make sense? Okay, it was like this. And here's where I want to scoop out, so that I end up with that ring being pretty much centered on the bottom of the sphere, on the bottom of the scoop. So that's why I'm playing with those centers. So I'm going to come over from the original center. I'm going to come over, let's say, 3/16 of an inch. It just so happens there's a little knot right there. I'm going to mark that new center. So I'm going to throw it off center now. Enough pressure so I can hold the hand wheel, and that's not going to freewheel. And with a small roughing gouge, I'm going to take a little nip out of this. Very light cut. In here. So I'm turning a little bit of wood, but mostly air here. And what that is, that little cutout, is where your finger goes when you hold the scoop. I've got a little cutout here. Your middle finger fits in there. And I got a scoop cutout here. That's where your thumb goes. So it's very comfortable in your hand. So while I'm at the off center, I'm also going me just sand this real. Okay, I'll be sanded better later. So while we're still off center, I'm going to shape the end of the handle. Okay, doing good. But I keep stopping here. I want to see where my other center was. But I have to go back on center here in a minute. Okay, it should be all right. Back to center. I don't have a whole lot holding on there. See how true it is. What I'm going to do with my parting tool is I'm going to come around and shape the rest of that with my parting tool. I know you've been waiting all day to see the steak knife. So I'm following that spear shape on through. Okay, God bless you. This is the part that you wanted to see. Use a saw and cut off the rest of it. There's no way I can put it back in between the other center. There's just not enough wood there. So this part is just end up carving the end of the handle and sanding it. Where'd Peter go? Peter, is that the way we did it in 2008? Do you remember? I did it smoother then? What kind of lathe was I using?
Same way.
Okay. So we've got a nice handle going. And that's the hard part of making a scoop. The rest of it is not too bad. That's why we're going to skip hollowing it out. Is that all right? I didn't like the sound of please. Is that a moron knife? No. As far as brand goes, no, it's out of Woodcraft. It's just a Schloid knife. I also carve spoons, and I found those up at Woodcraft for like $12. And working with students, I mean, my Schloid knife runs about $45-50. I couldn't see spending that on kids that are going to drop them on the floor, so I got those for like $12 a piece. I bought a bunch of them. They're actually good little knives. Okay, that'll be totally sanded and finished, but not right this second. Again, we're just going to pretend that's all the way through to 600. All right. Since I heard a little tiny murmur from the crowd, I gather you want to see this thing hauled out. Is that correct? Can we take a break after I haul it out? And then we'll see how much time we have left for a rockabye. The rockabye is a little involved. It's a neat project. There's a lot of steps to it. You don't have to write any of the steps down. They are on my website. Did I forget to tell you that there was a test at the end of the day? 40. There's no, it's handwritten here.
Can't bump the
Did I do it again? That's the knockout bar in there. It's not my fault. Yes, there's a 42 question test. 28 are multiple choice. The rest are essay. So I hope you've been paying attention so far. I can't do that now. Won't roll in a straight line. I messed up. I'm going to see if I can get away from with using a cup chuck that I made before instead of making. It's kind of straightforward. Making up a cup chuck. Put it between centers. Turn a tendon on for your chuck, and then hollow it out. A little undercut like we did the acorn, so that the sphere actually will grab in like so and have half a chance of staying in there. And most importantly, drill a hole all the way through it so that you can not vacuum. I use it as a knot for my knockout bar to get the scoop out of the jam chuck. So let's see if I can get this one to work and save a little bit of time here. Let's see if we can take a break at 2:30, thereabouts. Okay, these jaws, at least on the chuck that I'm using, are numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I have a mark on this chuck where I used it before, but I'm going to put it back between the number 1 and number 2 jaws. I do this a lot. I make a lot of different boxes, and it's on the chuck, off the chuck. So it helps line things up. Hopefully that will be the case today. Now when I used this chuck last week, the grain is going in this direction, and when I put the sphere in here, it split the chuck. So I'm hoping with the jaws grabbing onto it, it will hold onto it. Of course, I got from the audience, oh, wow, yeah, what did you do? So I took my pencil and I put stitches on it for them, and everything was better. They were happy. All right, now I have to be aware of this off-centered part here. That's going to go towards the back here. Okay. So I want to line that up so it's actually going to be on the bottom of the handle. And what I'm after is to get a good jam chuck fit on here. Rain is lining up pretty good. That looks okay. It moved on me. Actually, I want to see if that's true. Yeah. I'm going to true this up. That was not running true. Right now, I'm just showing up the face of it. I took off a very little bit there. Hopefully not too much. What I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit out of the back. The only where I want it to touch is right here on the outside edge. Lining up the handle again. This gets to be a little bit of the scary part. That's why I'll ask for a volunteer to come up and do this part. I could probably use some cushioning or something there to hammer that in. This is a piece of soft maple. Ah, I see what's happening. See the crack? That's opening up. Wonder if that'll work. I could. I don't know. It's pretty stout there. Should we try it? Nobody even asked how my insurance was paid. I don't know. It feels pretty good. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? Done with that. Wonder what's making that noise. I really don't like that. Okay, I am going to use a 3/8 bowl gouge. Shoot, almost forgot one step. What size sphere do we have here? Huh? 2-inch. We need to drill a depth hole so I know how far to hollow this. See how used to I am to making these scoops? Made quite a few years ago. I got on to other things, and a lot of I travel around a lot. And a lot of times I visit clubs over and over again, so I come up with different things. And it's not because I didn't like doing scoops, that's for sure. All right, I've got a 1/4-inch bit here. I've got a stop collar set it at 1 3/4 inches. Now we can start hollowing it out. Okay, I'm going to leave it, the sides here, approximately 1/8 inch thick, maybe a little heavier at the bottom, about a 1/4 inch. Quarter or a 3/8 bowl gouge. Tool rest is a little high. I'm also going to be using the articulating tool. Height's pretty good there. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try to finish this by 2:30. Kind of important that you always watch where your left hand is with that handle spinning around there. That little tick that you're hearing as I'm starting my cut is where I'm going into the handle to make the little thumb holder there. Here it is again. I'm riding the bevel on it to find out where it is. Stopping to check the thumb area to make sure it's what I want, and that looks good. So the rest is just scooping this guy out. Does that block the screen? Okay. You can see I start that cut at 7:30. I bring it up to about 8 o'clock, 8:30. After this coffee scoop, this jam chuck's being tossed away. I'm not chancing it again. Nah, I'll sign it and give it to Jerry. Okay, I'm down to where I drilled. Before I go for finished cuts, we'll check it out in there. A little thick on the bottom, so I can clean a little bit more of that up. At the very end, I'd go for the lightest cut possible. The soft maple, I'm cutting cross grain, and there's a little bit of tear out with it. Much rather make these scoops out of a really nice hardwood. Is Stark still here? Stark? This is for you, buddy. Do you know how many scoops you can make out of that hard rock maple out there? And it wouldn't be the soft maple here. You should go home empty-handed now, Stark. Okay, I'm going to call that good inside, because I'm just not totally confident with this jam chuck. Now, I usually put a little kerf in here at the handle area for that little transition. Let's see here. I better use something else for that. Yeah, turn them mostly air, but that gives you that nice transition between the thumb area and the actual bowl. Now, sanding the inside of this can be a little hairy. So, I made a little finger protector. And just a little sponge that I can come in here and sand the inside of that. That way it keeps my hands away from that spinning handle. And you can make them up with different grits, so you can go through all your grits on the inside. I'm not going to use anything but this one grit. Let's call that good. That little thumb area, just sand by hand. And it looks like I'm going to finish about a minute early. But those are the steps that I take for doing a scoop. A little bit of spindle work, a little bit of bowl work, sharp tools. Think about what your tool is doing. Think about your hands. And keep it safe and enjoy. If I yank it too much, I'm going to break it. This is why the hole is in it. That's why the hole's in it. Ooh. That's just shavings.
Get that. I'll take that. I'll use it to
Oh.
catch this. I'll make one. I'll use it as I'll just use it.
Okay, folks, there is your little coffee scoop with your finger holder. It's absolutely perfect for your coffee in the morning. We're going to take a 5 to 10 minute water break, bathroom break, whatever, and we'll come back and see if we can knock out a rockabye bugs.